Hi Gabe, so I thought I'd give you some quick visual feedback here for your scene. I'm going to go and pull it up. I'm assuming you're using 2016, so let's go ahead and pull that into our scene here. Give you a couple tips and things to edit and fix. One, you do not want to use real geometry for your grass. It just, as much as you might think it looks good, for games it doesn't work well. Now it looks like there's a little bit of an error opening your scene, so I'm assuming you probably use 2015. Let's see if that's an issue. Let's have it finish here. Alright, so it looks like it loaded up here. So let's take a look at this up close. So yeah, you really don't want to make your grass like this. In games, what they use is a thing called alphas. So I'm going to show you real quick how to make alpha grass. The principles are pretty much the same in 3D Studio Max. You just have to be able to bend and tweak things accordingly. I do a video on how to make a tree on YouTube if you want to watch that and check it out. It's making like an organic scene. I can post it in the group if that helps you out a bit. So let me show you how to go about making your alpha grass, because what's happening here is the way it's turning out. You might think it looks cool, but it doesn't quite look as good as it should. And in a game, we're going to actually, you want the poly counts to be low. Because if I select all these guys and I deselect your other stuff, behold, your poly counts are, wow, that's a lot. So we are looking at 565,000 polys. And for that particular selection area, and that's way too much for a game. If you went around a corner, the whole camera and everything would come to a chug. It would slow down. So in games, we can use a system, and in Maya it can help us out a little bit. We can use a thing called Paint Effects to be able to begin to start our stuff. Now, to be able to get to it, we're going to General Editor's Visor. Now, we're not going to use the literal procedural trees. We're just going to use their color information. So some of you guys are using procedural stuff in general, and you don't want to do that. What we're going to do is steal some of the information. We're going to be sneaky. I'm going to go to your plants here. Now I open up Visor, and when you open up Visor, you can actually open up a thing called Plants here, and we're going to pull up the grass. So there is a grass option. Let's see if we can find one here. There may even be a grass section. There we go. Yep, there we go. Grasses. It's been a while since I used this. So let's go ahead and paint the grass in there. We'll use crabgrass because it's our clumps of grass. They actually work a little bit better. And I'm going to zoom in here. Now, your paintbrush when it comes in is usually a little bit small. So we're going to go and paint. And it actually looks at our axis point to make the grass. I just made some really quick grass. And the cool thing about this is Maya randomly makes it different lengths and bends it, which is pretty cool. So what we're going to do, we're going to grab that grass. We'll do Modify Center Pivot real quick. And we're going to move this over. We're going to get a nice front kind of side view kind of deal. And what you can do is you can frame this just where you want it to be. We'll do this generically right here. A lot of times what I'll do is I'll switch my camera. I'll just render it from the side view or front view or whatever. But we'll just do this for now. And I'm going to render this just in generic mode real quick. And you'll see we have grass, right? That looks kind of cool. So we're going to use this color information. So I'm going to go in here, and if we look at this, there's an alpha channel in here. If I click on this, you can see the alpha channel is really clean. So Maya just made a custom foliage for us with an alpha channel connected. So we're going to keep that alpha channel connected. Let me turn that off again. Go back to RGB. And we're going to go and save this out. So let's go and save our image. So we're going to go and save, apply, and close. Actually, let's go and save as real fast here. Open up the options. And let's get our regular. We want to save it as a regular file. Color, manage, image, apply. So they have this weird system here. I don't like it, where you can save an image up in the corner. It's better to just right click on the image itself and save from here. So much better if you go to File, Save Image. Let me see here. I just did it a second ago. Let me see, File. You just right click, File, Save image, click on that. And we're going to save this as a target. For some reason, maybe I just clicked wrong. So we're going to save this guy as a target real quick. I'm going to put it on my desktop. We'll call this grass. And we'll hit save. There it goes, grass. Let's go and take him into Photoshop real quick. I'm doing this without my Wacom, just to speed things up a little bit. And we're going to set our grass resolution. You'll see this sometimes in games. They'll have things. Usually when you set things in games, you're going to use an increment of 2. So what we're going to do is set our grass resolution to 2048 wide and 1024 high. So there might be a little bit of warping, but we can fix that. Let's go to open here and open up what we exported out. Let's go and click on that grass I just exported. Ignore my bazillion icons. Yes, I am still a hardcore gamer. And we go open. Now it looks dark, but we can lighten that up if we want to. So we can go underneath our adjustments here and go to curves. And curves is going to allow us, actually, I grabbed the wrong one. I did levels. I have an older version of Photoshop. Excuse his ancientness. So we're going to lighten him up a little bit there. There we go. You don't want to make him too bright. You don't want him to look like he's catching his own or producing his own light. I'm going to hit OK. This will make it easier probably for you guys to see it on the screen too. Let's go to our image size here. Let's crop this guy a little bit because we have way too much space we're wasting. So I'm going to pull in just a little bit here. I'm definitely going to pull in here and just cut off right about there, right where the roots are at. And if you want to go a little bit in that region, you can. This is why it's good to render a side view only. And then we'll just pull this down a little bit here. And I'll double click. We can probably crop that a little bit more on this side. I forgot about that part. Double click. There we go. Let's check our image size. So our output here, let's go to pixels real quick here. So we got 10 M8 49 by height. Now I probably should have rendered it a little bit higher. So we're going to switch this. I'm going to turn off constraint proportions. Don't want that on. We're going to do 1024. It's a little bit of a stretch by 512. And hit OK. There we go. So the only problem is it's still going to get a little bit pixelated. So when you do render it out, just make sure you set your stuff a little bit high. And I could probably do that real quick here. So we'll just make a higher resolution. Make sure I mention that. It's very important. So we'll do HD 1080. Dun dun dun. I'll do a quick render. Okay. Real fast. There we go. Much better to work with. And I'll just save this guy real quick. We'll do a Targa. Not that big of a deal with the save changes. I just was a little bit confused. I don't always use 2016. I'm more of a 2015 kind of guy. So we'll do Grasso 2. Save. And I will go back to Photoshop. And we'll get rid of this guy. We don't need him. Boop. We'll do it one more time. So this time you will for sure understand exactly what we need. We'll go back to our worst Sean Connery voice ever. Let's go to curves. Raise this up. Just a little bit. Go and crop it. And you'll notice it's going to look a lot better. And when we mess with our resolution, we don't have to sweat it as much, thinking that it's going to get pixelated. Pull this over. Notice there's a little, piece of grass extra. Now, again, I'm just doing this really quickly so you can get an idea. But if we look at this, because we saved it out as a Targa, you'll notice in our channels that we have an alpha channel. Awesome. So we actually, this grass did all the heavy lifting for us. So we have this set up. Let's go and set our size because we don't want it too big, but we also want it to look nice. So we're going to do 1024. And it being grass, you can do 1024. You can always render this a lot higher. A lot of game engines, especially if the player's going to get really close to it, may make the resolution a little bit higher. But this is grass and something the player runs by, so we can get away with it having a little bit less. And we can always stretch this out in 3D too if it gets a little warped within our image itself, so it's not that big of a deal. Alright, so we got this guy set up here. Let me go and hit save. This is our initial grass. This is called grass for import. Let's call it for import, hit save. Go back into Maya, keep it at 32 pixels there. That'll give us a good alpha channel. Go back into Maya, your scene. I'm going to delete this grass. We do not want to keep that because it's very messy looking. Go back to our perspective. I'm just going to select something randomly and hit the F key so that we can be in that area. All right, so on the side here, so in games, we would build these clumps of grass ahead of time, export them out to Maya, take them into a game engine, and you can use paint effect type of painting that we just did in Maya in the game engine, like an Unreal. It allows you to load that mesh. So let's go and build the mesh. And whenever I create a mesh for this, I go in here under polygon primitives. We'll go to a flat plane. I'll just draw it out. And I'm going to give this flat plane a little bit of divisions. And the reason why I want to give him some division on width, we'll do 5. Actually, we can do less than that. We can do, we could leave that 1 actually, because we really want it here. There we go. And if you want, you could put a little bit more up here on the width, but we're going to mainly focus on height. And then I'm going to rotate this, keep my finger on the J key. And the J key is going to allow you to, let me see if it's going to auto lock on me. Yeah, it's auto locking because I hit the J key too soon. When you hit the J key, it allows you to snap your rotations in place. And right now it looks like I have these snap on the positioning here. Yay. I can always turn that off later on. All right, so I'm not going to worry about that right now. Let me go and close that out. So now, let me map texture on this guy. So we're going to go to our UVs. And we're going to create a planar map. And when you create a planar map, you want to hit best fit plane. Hit apply. And the best fit plane is going to give you the best possible projection on this object. And that was a lot of P's. Best possible projection. A little bit of tongue twister. And I'm going to go in here and lift this up just a little bit. I'm going to lift it off the ground. Oh, looks like snap on rotation is giving us some trouble. And make sure no snap to grid is on. Nope. Let's go and reset this tool. We should be able to now grab it. There we go. So now, with this setup here, with the F key, we're now going to apply our texture. So let's go and apply a new material. I always want to apply a new material to an object. Assign a new material. And we're going to do something that's not shiny, very flat color. We're going to do Lambert. Now, if you did want shiny grass, you would have to make sure you paint your specular and load your specular in the spec color area. And I'll point that out, but we're not going to cover it. Because if we made a blend, we'll just pretend we're assigning a blend here. Maya always has this bug. We have to assign the material twice. Blend. You'll notice in blend they have a specular color, and that's where you can, if you wanted shiny grass, you could do that, but we're not going to do that here. I just want to make sure I pointed that out to you. So let's go to Lambert. Let's load our texture. File. Boop. Grab it. Desktop. And the reason why I divided this up so it doesn't look like a card, that's the bad part sometimes when people make alphas. They just look like cards. So you can make yours a little bit divisions, especially in a game if you have room for it. You can do that. Let's hit the 6 key or the icon for texture. And we can see we have the initial grass set up here. And you will see this in games. Now a lot of times in games they're going to do foliage. But this, in this case, watch this. We're going to grab this guy. And we're going to add a deformer on him. So if I keep my finger on the space bar, we're going to go to Animation Deform. We're going to go to Open Full Deformer menu. And we're going to go to a thing called Nonlinear, and we're going to use Bend. Now what the Bend Deformer is going to do, if we go into our channel box, we're going to click on the Bend Deformer, and this is going to give us a curvature. Now notice right now it's on the wrong axis point. So what we need to do, we need to rotate this. And we're going to rotate this at a 90-degree angle. Negative 90. You can just punch it in. And then we're going to rotate it this way. And we can give it a little bit more of a curvature. And the cool thing about this, when you make this, we can actually go in here and have several of these all together. So I can go in here and do Control D. and rotate this guy. Do Control D and rotate this guy over here. And you can end up having grass all the way around. Now ignore the dark area. That's viewport 2.0, which is now the default for Maya. It actually does this weird thing with the normals. But this will give you a lot more believable looking grass, as well as really low poly. And you really want to keep things low poly in games. Let me go to my rotation tool and reset that tool. It's acting stupid. And then now I can move this down into my environment. And from far away, you know, you have grass right there. Pretty cool. And that's pretty much how you would make some real quick game-ready grass. All right, so I just wanted to show you that real quick there, and that can easily be painted, exported out as a group, or combined, I should say, as an FBX, taken into Unreal 4, and you can paint that all over your foliage. I might have a video on this soon in Digital Tutors. I'm just super busy. Basically doing terrain and building a whole environment. But for now, I hope this helps you. Let me know if you have any questions.